Okay, thanks ever so much to Matt and Andy. That was great. Could I now pass over to our colleagues from People First Dorset? So Kerry, Chris, Laura, Zoe, and Ellie, and Andy as well. Thanks ever so much.
Yeah, thanks, Ed. Hi, everyone. And thanks to Andy and thanks to Matt as well. Good to see you again, Matt. So yeah, I'm delighted to be joined by Kerry and Chris and Zoe and Laura from People First Dorset. How are you doing, guys?
Hi all.
Fine, thank you. Hi all.
You've all got your mics on and your cameras. Yeah.
Nice to be joining you this morning.
Great. Okay. So yeah, Chris, if I can come to you first, perhaps just introduce yourself and perhaps tell us just a little bit about your life before the pandemic.
Yeah. Morning, everyone. I'm Chris Mellor from People First Dorset, and I'm the speaker group project worker. And I used to go out and meet my friends and girlfriend. I used to have a busy life. I was used to socialise, and I work at People First Dorset as well.
That's great. Thanks, Chris. And Kerry, so how was life before COVID?
Life before COVID was really good. I was going into work and getting out and about and seeing my friends. But as we all know, that put paid to all of that. When we first had the lockdown, I didn't believe anything anyone said. So it was quite hard for me to adjust to being in my house because I'm a social person and like to be out and about. Yeah. We were also put on furlough that meant we weren't able to do any of our work for People First.
Great, thanks, Kerry. I mean, I can certainly remember before COVID, seeing for myself, I mean, a lot of the sort of the core activities that People First Dorset were involved with. I mean, I came and visited Speaking Up groups and the Friendship Club events and got to know you all, and I know you were both very active in, I mean, not just as members, but also helping to run those activities.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, thinking back to last year, to sort of early last year and those first lockdowns, I guess what changed? I mean, Chris, if I can come to you again, I mean, what changed for you? I mean, in your life generally, but also at People First.
Yeah, it was quite hard being stuck inside all the time and being cut off from the outside world. And I used to chat to my friends and girlfriend, and they had to go onto Zoom, which has been a big lifeline for people with learning disabilities. I mean, not just for me, I mean, everyone else.
I know quite a lot of you People First were quite into WhatsApp, and I mean, you were quite familiar with some of the technology, weren't you? I mean, you taught me how to use WhatsApp. But Zoom was sort of quite new, wasn't it? And I think you all sort of got to know Zoom, and clearly you're all very familiar with using it now. So that became a big thing then, Chris, did it? Zoom in particular.
It was like a new experience for us all.
And learning those new skills in terms of how to use it and all of that. Yeah. So Kerry, how about you in terms of when the lockdown first happened? What mainly changed for you, would you say?
Well, I was at home all the time, and as Chris said, on the computer. And actually, I was interviewing for new support staff at that time. So life became very, very difficult for me because I also had some support workers leave that helped me in my everyday life. So it was quite hard. It was very challenging.
Yeah. I mean, I'm happy for Laura and Zoe to chip in here, perhaps if they're there, you know, perhaps give us that wider organisational perspective. I mean, what were the main challenges back then, and how did you respond as an organisation?
I think the biggest challenge was knowing what was the right response, and responding to people as individuals as well, because the right response for one person wasn't the same as another. And the overwhelming worry we had, there was lots of people that were isolated and unsupported, and how could we let them know that we were there, and offer them some support with that isolation in the way that they needed it. Certainly we've got lots of members who responded really well to the technology, and we really quickly made sure that took off, and that was brilliant. And as Chris said, like a lifeline for some people, but there was also lots of members that didn't access technology and couldn't or didn't want to. So that's where our Connect magazine was born, and we were producing those. And in the first lockdown, every 2 weeks we were producing a magazine with activities, easy read information. We were putting messages to each other in there, a message board, so friends were still connecting in some way, shape or form. We were also doing phone calls and quite intensive communication with people who we were quite concerned about. So yeah, it was really challenging to know how to respond, and also having to manage that on a reduced staff as well, who were also isolated at home. I think the biggest frustration that all staff found and members is that we physically couldn't respond to people. It made everyone feel very disconnected and helpless at the time.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thanks, Laura. I mean, I guess one of the key things around an organisation like yourself is that, and I'm happy for anybody to chip in around this, I mean, that promoting of sort of well-being, and I guess that became really important last year. In terms of, keeping in touch with everybody and making sure everybody was okay.
Absolutely. And actually wellness is a theme that's continued going forward. I think it's it's been an extraordinarily challenging time for everybody, and just making sure that there was opportunities for people to connect was enormous, I think, because we probably would all agree that made a big impact on how we felt. I don't think we realised how much we all really take for granted the contacts we have with our friends and work colleagues, and what an impact that has on our well-being and our mental health on a regular basis. You don't know what you've got until it's gone, do you?
Yeah.
So one of the things that coincided with the first lockdown was our project, wasn't it? Developing our activities toolkit, which I've got here. So this was a follow-up project to our research, and Kerry and Chris, you were co-designers on this, weren't you? Yeah. So we came up with all of these wonderful activities, this big pack, and
the cards, flashcards.
Yeah. So we had to do all of our workshops on Zoom, and Zoe was involved in them, and Melanie Nind, who's with us today as well. And I know a few of our attendees today are from organisations where we sent these out to, but we do also have an online version, and I'll put the link on chat. But I guess these activities now are even more relevant in terms of the way things are now. So I would like to sort of bring things forward a bit now to this year and the last few months, as restrictions have eased, and we've got this sense of getting back to normal. How would you say things have been, Chris? If I can come back to you on that, then.
Yeah, I'm pleased that I'm going back to work now, and I've going back to Friendship Club, even though we're still going.
So just to clarify, you were put on furlough, weren't you?
Yeah, I was on furlough.
In People First, you were put on furlough, so you're back with that role now, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm glad that I'm going back to Friendship Club, but we're still doing it online as well.
Okay, so how many? So you've started to meet up a bit physically.
Yeah.
Getting together with that, but some people are still wanting to perhaps choose to be online with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're not doing like any discos till next year because we're still being cautious.
Okay, I got dragged to one of your discos with my research. So
Yeah.
so they're online at the moment, are they?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll have to check one of those out then, definitely. Sounds good.
They're quite good.
Yeah, that's great. So Kerry, if I can come to you, back to you then, in terms of your experience of the last few months, as I say, as we start to get back to normal, what thoughts have you got?
Well, like Chris, I'm glad I'm not on furlough anymore,
Yeah.
and I'm glad I can go outside. I'm less grumpy now, but because I'm such a social person, I've taken on more work and I'm going out and about more now and really enjoying what we're doing. But we are noticing more and more that not all of our members are totally happy to be outside and going to events.
Okay, so when you do meet up, are you wearing masks? Are you socially distancing? I mean, how does that sort of work out?
Yes, we've got masks and we've got everything spaced out at a social distance. Yeah. But we normally go into pubs or outside space. We've just started exercise that's actual inside with a fully spaced hall that's we're able to be spaced out. But yes, I'm really happy to be back at work, and I think that if we hadn't been doing this as colleagues and as an individual person, I don't think we would be as well done our well-being as well as we could have been had we not been supporting each other to do our work.
How's this, perhaps Zoe or Laura could perhaps answer this. I mean, how has this affected your membership in terms of People First, the whole COVID experience?
It's been difficult to find a balance between what needs to be online and what needs to be in person. But I think we found a healthy and good balance. And actually our membership has gone up quite a lot. And I think it's because people can access from wherever they'd like in Dorset, and those that have moved away during the pandemic, they can still join our events because Zoom allows us to do that. So it's actually been really beneficial to get our name out there and be a support for people who need it.
Yeah, we connected with a lot of new people during the lockdown, and actually it's been we started doing face-to-face events a few months ago, and actually I think all staff have found it really, really lovely meeting some of those people face-to-face that actually we've spent time over the lockdown getting to know at a distance and virtually. I think it was a time when people were needing to reach out more, and quite a few people found us, so that was really beneficial, and they're now getting the benefit of the things we starting to do again that we used to do that they've never been involved in. So it was a real bonus.
Great. We've only got a couple of minutes left, so I suppose looking ahead, Chris and Kerry, perhaps first, how do you see things going, sort of looking ahead?
Well, hopefully in the next 3 years, we continue to work hard and work together and get more people involved and continue going on, because this pandemic isn't going away.
No, it's not going anywhere.
So we hope to keep continuing to work.
So you're still going to have to sort of manage the effects really of the pandemic and work around that, you feel?
Work around it,
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just getting more people out there cautiously and just helping the French club.
Yeah.
And my work.
It sounds like you're doing the right thing, Chris, in terms of, you still promote, you're still enabling that online sort of connection, but you're obviously encouraging people to meet up physically as well, and so I suppose having that balance really is really good.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, great. It's been fantastic to catch up with you guys and to speak to you. So thanks a lot for sharing your experiences, and I know you work very hard at supporting everyone in Dorset, so best of luck with everything moving forward. So, thanks a lot, and I think we can go back to Ed now.
Thanks ever so much, everyone at People First Dorset, and to Andy for asking the questions. Really interesting discussion, and I think that final theme there about emerging from the pandemic, combining in-person events and online as well, and opportunities for more people to be involved, perhaps because of that, is really interesting. So